I'm here to make money. Is it an investment or am I just gambling? It's super rare to hit 100x or 1000x, but it's possible and I've done it on my channel. Everyone's a genius in a bull run.
Hello, welcome to the Bitget Show. I'm your host, Vugar Usi, and today we have at the studio crypto influencer, QL, how to get rich quick person, Conor. Do you think you know how to get rich quick?
I think I was in the right place at the right time and made a little bit of money relatively quickly. But get rich quick, I don't really like that saying.
Like, I was scrolling through your YouTube and it's always like a next 100x,
Yeah.
put $1,000 to become a millionaire. Like, I'm not like, is it like a clickbait or you truly think it is possible?
So it's interesting. There's a fine line between actual clickbait and trying to garner attention. So YouTube is all about the title and the thumbnail. There's no way to, if I had it my way, I would make a video and the video would say, today's news, crypto. And that's all I would say. And then I would do my video like I would normally. But people don't click on that. So you have to have these sorts of titles. And it is possible. It's very, very rare. And I make this very clear in my videos. But it's super rare to hit 100x or 1000x. But it's possible. And I've done it on my channel. So people like to hear about those sorts of opportunities. And we create the video with those sorts of opportunities and the news and everything that I want to talk about.
You know, like usually people I have in this studio, they all love to talk about the technology, the next big thing, the future. And then I have another group of minds who are like money, 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 money. And I'm from Turkey. And in Turkey, we say when you count money, some sticks into your hands. And I think that's the biggest reason that brings more and more people into crypto, especially in the bull run, especially when they have this spare money. Some treat crypto as like a lottery ticket. Like, how did you end up in crypto?
Well, to start with what you said, I think most people, they start with the idea of only making money, right? And then they kind of think, oh, I'm into the utility a bit. There's some utility here. We can do this, we can do that. And then they end up just being about the money. So I think for me personally, I was interested in crypto for the tech. Then I was interested in crypto because of the money. And then the money is what kept me. And I like the idea of the tech, but I do think that people get too wrapped up in the changing of the world aspect of crypto. I do think crypto will change the world, but most crypto is completely useless. So when most crypto is completely useless, what do we have?
Now, when we talk most crypto, we mean most cryptocurrencies and tokens, right?
Yeah. Like separate to Bitcoin and the tech of Ethereum, for example. There's a lot of tokens that exist for no reason other than to make money. So why don't we just make money from it? That's how I see it. I always say in my videos, I'm here to make money. That's the reason I'm here. That's the reason why I'm trading crypto. I'm not trying to change the world.
Like how the money is made in crypto, as we're already talking, and you said like there are so many useless tokens. Like, what is the structure for the, people who are new? They are maybe no coiners. They don't know where to start. Like how the money is made.
Okay, there's many different ways to make money in crypto. In general as well, but in crypto. So, I mean, the way I've made the most amount of money in crypto is simply by buying something early, holding it into a bull run, and then selling it in the bull run. That's like the most amount of, like the substantial amount of money that I've made. Now, you also have, like that would be considered long-term trading or swing trading. Then you have short-term trading where you might trade on the daily. You might see like Bitcoin's gone down for X amount of reasons. I think it's going to bounce, so I'm going to trade that bounce. On Bitget, you can do that with leverage, so you can make the bounce more intense. You can make more money, but you can also lose more money, so that's more risky. And then you also have people who simply buy and hold. So they buy and hold something like Bitcoin. They manage to buy it again super early, but they just hold it. Their net worth goes up, and they can spend Bitcoin in a country like Dubai. So like this long-term holding, generating like substantial amounts of wealth.
Like starting of 2024 that we are in, people already like kind of a next bull run topic is here. We are in a crypto winter is over. I love calling it crypto spring, like it's not like a fully winter is over. Summer or bull run is still not yet here, I believe, because I believe we are yet to see the Bitcoin all-time high, and the halving and all these topics out there. But like, as you mentioned, it's about buying early, holding and selling in a bull run. what kind of assets do you buy? I think this is kind of a last call before the cashier closes, shop
Yeah,
closes, and things become super expensive. Like,
Yeah.
what do you buy now?
I would say you still need to have exposure to the bigger players like Bitcoin. I always like Bitcoin and Ethereum. When I'm talking to someone, so whoever's watching or whoever sees this, it depends on your situation that you're in. For example, there are investors in the stock world who invest into the S&P 500 because they want a broad exposure to the market. They don't want to pick out Nvidia because that's the one that just went. They don't want to say, oh, Facebook is going to go crazy next month. They just want to have exposure to possible upward momentum, right? So they buy the S&P 500.
But it also balances like ups and downs because
Exactly. And it's much
like
safer. It's much safer, right? As we know, inflation is absolutely ridiculous. So not having an investment that goes slowly up is basically stupid in this economy, right? Unless we go down to zero eventually, which I don't think will ever happen, but that's always the argument on the other side. But with the S&P 500, you get a broad exposure to the market. So if you were someone who was looking for a broad exposure to the market, somewhere to place some money that will grow over time, you have Bitcoin and you have Ethereum. That's how my portfolio is most heavily weighted, is still Bitcoin and Ethereum. I trade crypto like we discussed a second ago, and I either hold fiat cash, stable coins, or Bitcoin and Ethereum. So when I'm feeling like the market will be going up, but I'm not sure about the short term, I'll hold money in Bitcoin and Ethereum because for me, they are the S&P 500 to the cryptocurrency world. So they give you the exposure to the market, but not necessarily the same level of risk. Of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum, much more risky than the S&P 500, but comparatively speaking to crypto, it's basically risk-free. You know, oh, Bitcoin, oh, it only goes up, 10x over 3 years. It's basically risk-free, So that's like what I always consider to be people's foundation of their portfolio. The 50% mark is Bitcoin and Ethereum for me.
Like we were in the beginning talking about like making money, even though we talk about risks and comparing like Bitcoin prices since last year, it's like a doubled, right? But still, it is not how we perceive making money in crypto because all the stories out there, all the media, how it was portraying, and even your content out there, it's always assuming that you're gonna put $100, you become a millionaire overnight.
Yeah. This is not the case.
How do you like actually? Do you think like in the next bull run, it's possible still to make that 10x and 100x big money?
100%. And there will be people who do it. There'll probably most likely be people watching this video that will do it. And the reason is you have to have exposure to the market in order to get these sorts of things. Maybe you get a 1 or 2x, 3x in Bitcoin. Maybe you get a 5x in Ethereum. And maybe you happen to just buy something and it does the 10x, the 100x, all of this stuff. But you will only have the opportunity to do that if you have the exposure to the market, right? And people who want to get rich overnight, they want to be able to watch one video. They want to hear someone say, oh, this coin is going to do 100x. They put all of their money into that one coin. It doesn't do 100x. And then they say, well, crypto's a scam or that guy's a scammer. But that's not the case. The way any of us managed to do that was by spending all day long sitting at our computer, researching, coming across some random thing that popped up on Twitter or Telegram, or you messaged me and said, hey, have you seen this crypto? Which is actually what happened to me with one of my biggest trades ever. And we then research that, we see that there's an opportunity, and we place what I always like to say, an amount of money I'm actually more than happy to lose. Because if you put that amount of money into something, you remove all of the emotion. Say it's $100 for me, it might be $10 for someone else, it might be $1,000 for someone else, but the amount of money needs to have no emotion attached to it. So you can place this amount of money on a bunch of different things, and then one of those may be the one that goes absolutely parabolic. And that's how it's worked for everyone who's managed to do it. They didn't just pick one coin, it went absolutely parabolic, they bought their yacht, they bought their Ferrari, and happy days, that's the end. Because it's never like that, do you know?
That's so true, because I used to work at a venture capital firm prior joining to Bitget, and that's what the investment strategy of even large institutions and VCs, we call it moonshot, right? You'll be investing to, 100 ventures, only one will do 1000x and cover all the losses you make. You can never, laser focus and do that surgical precision of finding only 1000x coins and take it out. But I had another question, and I think more than a question, I want you to explain to everyone else out there watching this video that why in crypto you can still be rich on a paper or on account, but you might not be able to take that things out, especially if you are super early holder or investor of a project that are out there. And what do you do then?
There's a number of ways to kind of that person might not be able to use the wealth, right? So one of them would be they got in so early, and the amount, let's say they hold a large percent of the supply, which is the amount of coins that are in circulation or of the project, right? If they hold a large amount of the supply, the number on the paper might say $1 million. But there might only be, let's say, $1 million of liquidity in the project. So if they sold the $1 million, they would never get everything out because they would destroy the whole project. So if you say, for example, sold 50%, the project would drop more than 50%, everyone would panic, and there's no way you can get all this money out. So that's one way, liquidity issues, right? If you were to have a lot of money in a project that was much bigger, let's say $1 billion market cap, you could definitely liquidate $1 million. But most people don't ever take profits. And that is one of the biggest problems in crypto, right? They actually managed to do all the things I just mentioned about putting, acting like a VC. They've done their research. I'll put a bit here, I'll put a bit, I think AI is going to go crazy. I bought these 3 projects. A couple of meme coins, everything. Then they actually catch one and it does the 1000x. They're looking at their portfolio. Maybe it says $100,000, right? They put $10, $100 into this project. Oh my God. Well, a couple of $100 has turned into $100,000. And then they're looking and they're like, oh, but it's going to go higher. So they're watching. And they're watching, and 3 months pass, and maybe it went to $200,000, and then they're like, I'll sell when it goes to $210,000. That's my point. And then it goes to 209, and then it starts to go down, and they're like, it will go back up. And then 209, 200, 250, it'll go back up. 175, 175 up here. Oh no, and then it goes down, and they just sit it, and they just watch it go back down to 0. And this is, so you have this tiny amount of people who are actually willing to do the research. This is the putting the pots, the different plants, right, to grow. Very small amount of people willing to do that. Then even the percentage of people who win doing that is also tiny. And then they see the parabolic rise. And then the percentage of people who are actually willing to take profits because they think it's going to go higher is even smaller. I was one of those people in 2017. I made what I considered at the time a ton of money and then lost all of it. Every single penny. Nothing. I didn't sell a penny. I just watched it go all the way up and then all the way down.
This story reminds me of all my trader friends who started trading in the last bull run, and they thought that they're the geniuses out there.
Everyone's a genius in a bull run. That's the saying.
And everyone watched how things went all the way up and then all the way down because they were super emotionally attached. Yeah. They thought that they're small gods. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And no one even wanted to believe that, the market is going down this time.
Exactly.
But how do you, what's your strategy? Because you mentioned, I'll buy now, I'll hold, bull run, I'll sell. How do you put that threshold? You tell this $200,000 kind of a limit. What is your limit? Do you put a exit strategy before even starting that trade, or you look at the market? How do you organize yourself?
So it definitely changes. I had a similar question on a different podcast I was on recently where they wanted to know exactly where I would be selling. And it wasn't a crypto-based podcast, so it was very hard to get them to understand about the fact that it changes, right? We might hit 100K literally tomorrow for Bitcoin. In that case, my thesis behind when I'll be taking profits changes in comparison to if we very slowly go up. Do you know what I mean? So trying to explain exactly what I'll do is different case by case. And exactly how this bull run plays out will be how I take profits. But for example, for one of the seeds, and we see the seed grow, I managed to catch, let's say 100x. The way I would take profits is I'll always try and take my initial out around a 2 to a 5x. So if we see the project go very crazy very early on and we get that nice 2, so just 100% move, 2 to 5x, 2 to 5x, I'll take that initial $100 or $1,000 or whatever the amount is, I'll take it out. And even though it wasn't emotional at the start, now it's okay, I have my profit, or I have my initial investment. If it was a 3, 4, 5x, I also have a nice amount of profit. I put that in my pocket and I just leave it. I don't even care now. Now I'll just check in on that every now and then. I'll set up some alerts. If it's on a centralized exchange, you set up some alerts, or you just have some tabs that you check on. Oh my God, it's gone this high. Let me pull out a little bit more, right? It has to be unemotional. You have to get rid of it. So with the moonshots, the way you can play the game over and over and over again, you unemotionally put the money in, but you also unemotionally take the money out. As soon as you see initial plus a little bit of profit, I'll take the profit out. Because people go, oh, but if I take 50% out now or 25% out now, that means if it does 100x, I'm going to lose out on this chunk. But what they're forgetting is, what if this isn't the one that does 100x? And now without taking the profit, they let it go to zero. And what do they have? They have to go back to work and have to save up another $100. So it's just, yeah.
Yeah, I always say it's better to sell on the way up than on the way down, because when things go down, you become too stressed and too much pressure on you.
Yeah.
Because you want to recover the funds. There's a greed. You already, because one thing is like on the way up, you invested, let's say $100. All you lose is that $100. But on the way down, because you already saw that 10,000, you are already, in your mind, you are losing that 10,000. You don't lose that 100 that you initially put. 100%. And that's how people start like a panicking, and greed comes in, and like, what could I do with that? And I lost 2,000-3,000, and it becomes like very like a emotional game.
Yeah,
like,
and I've been there very much so.
And how do you control your emotions? Like, I had like Matthias Mende in the very early episodes, and he does this like a cold showers, I don't know, like a meditation, and like he's like this guru, and that's why like I was asking you on the backstage, like, are you like a crystal guy? You have this.
Well, no, I'm not a crystal guy. This is actually a piece of obsidian I found on holiday with my mum, and we got it set in silver, so I like to carry it with me.
Beautiful.
But honestly, at this point of my crypto journey, you really just have to be water off a duck's back, right? When something goes wrong, it goes wrong. And what I always chalk it down to is its cost of my business. So the first time I lost all the money in 2017, I felt stupid. You know, I didn't know what to do. I was like, how could I be so stupid? I could have bought a Mustang in cash. How could I be so dumb and let a Mustang in cash go to zero? I could have bought the Mustang, and I could have then had my crypto go to zero, but at least I would have had the Mustang. That was my thought process for years, right?
You know, like in TikTok, there is this trend called like a girl math.
Yes.
I think like this is like a crypto math. Everything is in Mustang.
100%. And then the Mustang turns into a Ferrari, and the Ferrari turns into an apartment and stuff like that. 100%, yeah. But so the first time I lost all the money, right? And when I say I lost all the money, I still never sold, because I was so like, I was right. I was the most intelligent person in the room, and I've let the money go down to zero.
I think like, let's make one thing clear. Like, in my opinion, you lose the money when you invest in a project and it goes like to virtual zero, and there's like no hope coming back, especially if it's like a meme coin, you know that it will never come back. But another losing money is when you invested on, let's say, Bitcoin, even though, for example, you bought at 20K, now it's at 12, you know that eventually it will go up and you will recover that funds. Maybe you are poor or losing money for a time being. It's not like you completely lost everything. What was like your definition of when I lost all my money? And let's start from there.
Yeah. So again, what I say on the channel is you should really make a decision before you get into an investment. Well, I say investment. Is it an investment, or am I just gambling? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, all of these things I would call an investment. I think those are pieces of technology that can change the world, but they can also go up in value. But am I buying, for example, Dogecoin, like Saturn Inu Mars X, right? Is that the name of the coin? It's not an investment. You're gambling on a short-term attention span, right? So if that's the case, then you should be getting in and getting out of that fast. The losing all the money for me in 2017 was on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and a number of other things, very small coins, but all utility coins or tokens, because we didn't have, like, I think Dogecoin was around then, but we didn't have anything else. There was no make-believe, all this nonsense, 10,000 coins being made a day. It didn't exist then. So it was much easier to hold through. It was very painful because the dollar value went to nothing, right? It went way lower than my initial investment. But because I genuinely believed in, for example, Cardano being one of the biggest trades I ever did, I still bought Cardano in that bear market. Because I kept looking at it, I was like, well, I can buy the same amount of tokens right now for, almost, I think it was like 98x lower. So I can get 98x more tokens for the same price I put in then. So I just kept buying them through that. So that's the definition, the differentiation that you have to make between an investment and a gambling degen play. Because an investment, You want a dollar cost average. And in a dollar cost averaging mindset, you actually want the price to go down. Because if I buy here and I have another, let's say 9 more buys, I'm going to split my $1,000 into 10 buys, and I buy here, I want Bitcoin, for example, to go down as much as possible in that 9 buy period, because then I get the most amount of Bitcoin for the cheapest amount of price. And you don't need to be a super genius to time the perfect bottom.
Now we talked about, this Doge and like a gambling aspect and investment aspect. Let's go more towards like a gambling aspect and all these meme coins, make it believe. Why I want to go to that direction, because in the beginning of the talk you mentioned that whenever you do that moonshots and put all your money out there, it's all about getting an information and someone calling you doing your own research. Like, how do you find? Because I always say if you already heard about something, it means you are late, kind of to the party.
Yeah. Let me tell you the story of how I found a coin that is infamous right now. It starts with an S and ends with moon. I'm not going to name it because they're in trouble. But I had a friend message me, have you heard of this coin, right? And I was like, no. Typed it in on YouTube. And what I noticed was, and I actually built a portfolio recently on my YouTube channel around this idea, but it's just wild amount of engagement for otherwise an unknown reason, right? Obviously, there can be technology or there can be whatever, but just really the amount of eyeballs that sat out of the 3 coins that I saw, the amount of eyeballs that sat on that, it was produced 3 or 4 days ago. And I'm like, wait, this is really weird. The amount of engagement that's happening on YouTube, on Twitter, on Telegram was just insane. So I was like, well, there's something here. There's something here because so many people are paying attention to it. So I was like, well, I'll just buy a bit. And that was it, right? That was the reason why I bought it. I didn't buy it because of all these promises they made. I didn't buy it because the website looked absolutely crap. It was the first iteration of the website. And I'm pretty sure these guys created this website just like, oh, we'll just make some random crap, right? And it looked like some random crap at the time. And I bought a little bit of it, just like I bought another project and another project. But we're talking at the time, I had been doing e-commerce, so I had a little bit of money, but not like a lot. So I bought $300 worth of each of these coins. And that was like, I was like, I'm risking too much here, but whatever, the bull market, all of this stuff. And one of them happened to go absolutely crazy. And so I found one of my biggest trades ever from a friend of mine who I didn't know very well. I just knew him from the internet, messaging me, hey, have you seen these coins? And then using what I now consider one of my methods of trading, which is I look for attention. I look for where people are sitting. Why are they sitting here? If it's a AI coin or if it's a meme coin, or why are there so many people that are paying attention to this coin? And that's the differentiating factor between, one random thing and another random thing. Just the fact that there's eyeballs on it. And that's one of the things that I like to play. I like to play this narrative. And while there are eyeballs on it, you try and get in. And when you start to notice that things go very euphoric, extremely euphoric, you've already done 100x and people are still calling for 100x, that's when you start to sell. You start to ladder out at that position. You don't wait to see the markets shift because it's going to be too late at that point. You want to be getting out on the way up, on that curve. That's one of the ways that I find the early stuff.
That's a fascinating story. But what do you recommend for people who are looking for next 100x? Like where they shall look for? Maybe they don't have that friend who texts them.
Yeah. This, by the way, this was a completely random. This wasn't like I was just nobody. I did e-commerce. I made myself a point of making one YouTube video a day at the start of 2021, I think, or 2020, either 2020 or 2021. And it just so happened to meet him through one of the circumstances. But being present on Twitter or X is a huge thing. You want to be in the circles. You want to be following the people who are calling these coins. But one way for you to get a little bit of inside alpha, very, very surface level, follow them and see the projects that they follow. Because when they follow a new project, it might be early enough for you to get involved before, the marketing starts, before they build out whatever it is they're going to build out. So that's one way. And then from there, you being in communities like Telegram and all of those different communities. And then from these Twitter, Telegram, you can use YouTube. YouTube, I would say, is one of the slowest ways to get your information because I get my information from the research I'm doing. I put all that research in one box, and then I present that research that I've found, right? So you can get it before by going to X, to Telegram, to these different groups. And then within those groups, you need to make friends. You need to socialize with people. It doesn't necessarily mean in person. I'd never met this guy in person. But creating those sorts of groups together and, social interactions and friendships where I bring you something, he brings me something. Like the amount of groups that I'm in now, which is just friends that I've just come across on the internet from we liked one thing, we liked another thing, and you guys just talk to each other. And it's like understanding placing the seeds in all the different pots. It's like, okay, he'll send me one thing. Maybe it ends up going to zero, but I have my specific amount of money I put into it. Goes to zero, don't care. Next one goes to zero, don't care. Oh, this one did a 3x. I got my initial out. I got a little bit of profit out, and then it went to zero. Then the next one, and then maybe eventually you find this 100x, right?
Conor, like I was scrolling your Instagram, and I think you are one of these like a teenage young person, Dubai dream, who comes, does little bit drop shipping, e-commerce, follows all the trendy things, ends up in crypto. But like generally, like as a person who tries to do something, what's your motivation in life? Like you end up in Dubai, like what brought you here? What brought you into crypto? Like, is it the money? Is it purpose? Because you also do a lot of YouTube education and trying to educate more people. Like, where do you get your inspiration from?
Well, the Dubai journey started, I had nothing to do with crypto. Nothing to do with crypto at all. I used to be an acrobat. I still technically am an acrobat and a stuntman. Like, so my whole background is acrobatics and stunts. So I was doing stunts up until, like I did my last stunt job in the middle of the bull run. So just like, 2.5 years ago was my last stunt job that I did. Maybe even less than that. It's House of Dragons.
That's nice.
What's House of Dragons? It's House of Dragons? What is it?
You mean the Le Pearl Dragon, the show?
No. Le Pearl I was in.
Really?
Le Pearl was the last. That's what I used to do here.
That's cool.
But House of Dragons, not Lord of the Rings. I'm being stupid. People are going to hate
Thrones,
me. Game of Thrones, yeah.
House of Dragons.
House of Dragons, the new one.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So that's what I did. That was my last stunt job. And
you were the dragon?
yeah. Got my big wings out.
Really?
No. I was one of the fighters on the beach.
Okay.
But yeah, Le Pearl as well. So I was in Le Pearl here in Dubai, in the show by Dragon.
Like how did you like came? Because like recently I was talking to the Annie from the Trace Travel Chill, and she had this amazing story that she lost all her business. Mm-hmm. She started trading, and she's like, I hate interacting with people and talking to people. Trading is the perfect job for me. I don't have to interact with anyone. I can just do 2-3 hours of what I want to do. I take my weekends off.
Yeah.
Like how's that shift? Because you have this like a very talkative energy all over the places.
Yeah.
Like, does trading get boring?
Well, luckily, because of my background in stunts and acrobatics, I also did like acting and dancing and all of that stuff. So I was always a performer. So making the YouTube channel comes easy to me because it's like performing, but just by myself in a room, which is actually way harder than like on stage. But trading, the way I trade, I don't sit and stare at charts all day long. It's more of like the trading is more long term. I definitely do some short term trading, but the majority of my trading is trying to find these narratives early, putting my money in and then just letting it go. So the trading for me is fine. I do find it extremely boring to sit at my desk all day long, which is something that I've kind of, because of the journey of the business behind the YouTube channel, it's like as it builds, you can employ people and you can build systems to create things faster. So now it's much easier than it was back then when it was just me. But the journey actually went from acrobatics and then backstage at Le Pearl, starting e-commerce. So I was trying to figure out a way, like we said at the start, I'm 32. This is when I was 28, 29. And I was like, it's getting to the point where I can't be an acrobat for the rest of my life. I'm kind of reaching the end of the trajectory. Like I need to figure something out. I've always wanted to work for myself, and like, I kind of just have to do it. You know, you get to a point where you're like, well, I guess now I have to do it. I've had this like amazing life being an acrobat, but I started doing the e-commerce, and I actually, after about 6 months of losing money, I actually made the same amount of money as my salary. And I was like, okay, well, I can do this. And then I made another month, same amount of salary. And I just so happened to resign from my job just before COVID. So I resigned. I went to visit my girlfriend's family in Australia for the first time ever.
You got stuck there?
And we got locked down for 8 months. So we were in Australia, lockdown, Melbourne. If anyone's watching from Melbourne, you know how hard the lockdown was. And yeah, 8 months of that. And that gave me the best opportunity it could have, because I could spend all day long with no worry that I wasn't making money or going out to get a job or socializing. I just focused 100% on e-commerce, and I built like a few different brands, started to make some money from that. and it was going amazing. It was like literally one of the best times of like, I have like nostalgia. Like, I don't mean to detract from what happened in COVID. There was bad stuff that happened, but for me, it was like such an amazing like space to just try loads of different things, because you just had endless time. You know, I could wake up and I could spend all day just trying some random brand, building this brand, and it was great. And I started to make some money from that. And then right at the end of sort of the lockdown, when everything was starting to open, Dubai was back open again. I went back to England for a little bit. And this was the first time now at this point that I've been making money for myself. So I made a good amount of money, relatively speaking, to the last 10 years of my life. And I was like, wait, am I actually going to move back to England where the weather's horrible, people are grumpy, and then I'm also going to pay like 40% tax on all this money I've just made? I'm just going to have to give it to the government while being freezing cold, while people are grumpy around me, while I'm not next to the beach. And I was like, I messaged my girlfriend. I was like, we should just go back to Dubai. So then we just went back to Dubai. We came back. And again, at this time, it was the time where any e-com guys who are watching, Apple updated their iOS terms of service. So from my memory, the Facebook Pixel, where you tracked user data, stopped working as well. Exactly. So there was a whole shift. Everyone had to relearn. It was possible, but you had to relearn. You had to spend a long time. And that's when, around that time, I had agreed to myself that I'd make one video every day. So I was making it about e-com at the start, how to make money, my journey, all of these different things. And right around that time was when the guy messaged me.
Ooh.
And he was, check this.
That message was the way you came to crypto.
Yeah, no. I was already in crypto because I was investing since 2017. But that was where the journey of focusing on crypto, because I was buying crypto in the bear market, but also the text became the thing that I focused on, because I was like, oh, and I made a video about buying that crypto. And then that's why and then I noticed the crazy amount of views that were happening and everything that was happening with that specific crypto. So I was focusing on that, and that's how I continued the trajectory. And then I gave up on e-commerce, and I full head on with crypto YouTube.
This is very interesting. And also, like, as I mentioned, like when I was like going through your social media and like a YouTube, I think you are one of these like a true cliche Dubai life influencer, Lamborghini, nice dinners, things gonna happen, believe in yourself.
You'll never see a nice dinner. There's never a nice dinner. You actually, it's funny you say it, because it's completely not me. It's more of a persona, I guess, on the internet. But I haven't really increased my lifestyle. The lifestyle inflation hasn't really changed for me, because I've always been in Dubai. I still live in the same area that I lived in way back when I used to work in La Pearl. Like nothing's increased. I don't have a Ferrari or a Lambo anymore. I did for a bit, but not for me right now.
But then why do you portray yourself like that?
Well, that's just what's there. Because the front page of Instagram doesn't change. I don't post on Instagram ever. But the reason why we do that is because very, very surface level, if you as a random person watching the channel, you see, and I have comments like this all the time. Right now I'm like back in the bedroom because I moved out. I used to live in the marina. I've got a new place that we're waiting to be renovated. So I'm just in my friend's place and I'm sharing the room. So it's back my bedroom and my desk. And the comments are back. Oh, I couldn't trust this guy because he's in his bedroom. All of this stuff, right? So it's like it's this persona. If you see my YouTube and you go, oh, he just looks like some idiot kid, what does he know? And then you go on my Instagram and you see, oh, he has a Ferrari or a Lambo. You're like, oh, he must know what he's talking about. And this is the sad reality of social media. If I have, I was the most happy. I bought, in the middle of the bull run, I went home to England and I stayed for like a month or two and I bought a $1,000 GM. Is it GM? Yeah, MG.
MG.
Yeah, the old ones. The convertible one. It was $1,000. You pull the roof off yourself, and I absolutely loved it. But if that's what I was showing off on social media, people would just assume I didn't know what I was talking about. So it's a very surface level thing. And I'm much more about investments than I am about buying lavish dinners or like flying first class or any of the stuff.
That's good. I think like that's kind of a wake-up call for people, because I know that a lot of people, especially when they're new in the industry or they're new into trading or investing, they get scammed a lot of times by the people who portray this beautiful life.
And they're rented Lambos. They rent the Lambos. It's all nonsense. It's all smoke and mirrors. And You asked me at the very start about the thumbnails and the titles. It's exactly the same thing. Doesn't make any difference. Me being able to afford a Lamborghini doesn't give me more credibility. I would hope you watched my videos and you heard the way I speak and you hear a podcast like this and you hear my story. That gives me only the credibility that I've been there and done that. Not that I know what's coming in the future. I have no idea what's coming. Nobody does. If you watch a YouTube channel or a video and they say, this coin is going to 100x, and then in the video they're saying, this coin is going to 100x, this is blah, 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 they don't know. Nobody has one clue. And just because he has a Ferrari or a Porsche GT3 or 458 or whatever it is, right? They don't know. No one knows.
Now, I always say like investing or like putting your $100,000, let's say hypothetically, into perishable good, be it car or Birkin bag or whatsoever, is not a real investor's approach. Because when you invest today, I'm a big believer of Bitcoin becoming like $1 million asset. It means with today's money, I at least look for like a 10x or 20x opportunity in next 5-10 years.
Exactly.
And if today I buy a Lambo, it means I'm buying it 10x expensive. It's not like the money I put today, but like if I put it into something that could grow, and it's not only about Bitcoin, it can be any other asset, S&P 5, whatsoever, Nvidia stocks, whatsoever in there. Even like the stocks of that car manufacturer, probably it will go higher than just buying it. And I think like that's a very wrong attribute that we want, because everyone wants to live a better, a comfortable life. But just because someone has Lamborghini or like a beautiful home should not validate your opinions.
Exactly, 100%. I do, however, think that it's very important to give yourself enjoyment and credit for what you've achieved, right? So that was the reason why I bought these cars, because every boy from London who grew up wanted a Huracan, who wanted a Ferrari, wanted a Lamborghini, like, and I all of a sudden, what's going on? I have the opportunity, but from what I've learned, I financed the Lambo, right? I put down 20% on it, and I bought a cashed apartment in downtown Dubai, and I used the rent from that apartment to pay for the financing of the Lambo. So it was essentially just a down payment, and then it was free because my investment was paying for it. So it's like, instead of buying the Lambo in cash, I bought the investment, and the investment paid for the Lambo.
It's like a Conor math.
Boy math.
Boy math. How to buy Lamborghini for free in 2 easy steps.
Exactly.
Buy a home in downtown Dubai.
Just buy it in cash, and then obviously get your Lambo on finance.
This is like a rich people talk, guys. Listen and learn. But I have another question. Like, we talked about like buying and doing big investments, and I'm really happy that you could make that big jump from being an acrobat to all the way e-commerce and back here. But like, imagine if you would have been starting today, and you go to Bitget, I don't know, open your first account, and I'm sure we all have friends and family and social media community of yours. When they want to start trading, what is like today, in order to succeed and to learn, what's kind of a minimum amount you think they need to come with no emotional attachment, and what kind of portfolio building or strategy they should follow to learn how to become next Conor and buy downtown home and have a free Ferrari on top?
Well, you have to be in the right place at the right time and be very lucky. That's one thing I have to say. Not everyone's going to be able to put the right seeds in the right place, but it really boils down to the amount of money you can afford to lose, like I said. So $1,000 is fine. The chances of you turning $1,000 in crypto into $1 million is almost zero, right? It's almost zero.
Last week you published a video that it's possible. Come on.
It is possible. Almost zero is still possible. I did it. It's possible, but it's very, very unlikely. But you can do it. It's like what was that film? There was a saying, it's the exception to the rule, not the rule, right? So the rule is, it's pretty much impossible to get rich overnight. But there is exceptions to the rules. People only want to hear about the exceptions to the rules. They don't want to hear about the rule itself, which is, if you now, from this moment on, from watching this podcast, dedicate every waking moment you have spare, whether or not you have a job or not. You come home before you go to work, when you come home before you go to school, when you come home. If you dedicate every waking moment to crypto and figuring out how you can make money, your chances of being the exception to the rule greatly multiply. If you're not willing to do that, and all you're willing to do is go, okay, I already work my job, I'll watch one video on YouTube and I'll randomly follow that on YouTube, the chances are almost zero. They're way more closer to zero than if you had actually dedicated. And the amount of stories just from being in this space, so many people that I know who have made an obscene amount of money are not public facing figures. They don't have YouTube channels. They don't have Twitter channels. They just get in. They borrow their way into the crypto space. They become a founder of a real project. They help a real project with their community. And then that project gave them tokens. They mod on a Telegram account. And then through that modding, they meet someone who meets someone who then they all come together and they create some sort of project. They become an influencer. There's just so many different ways to do it. Or they dedicate themselves to trading and people make an obscene amount of money on Bitget from trading. And it's absolutely wild. Me, myself, like I said, the majority of my money comes from swing trading, long-term swing trading, buying X and selling in the bull run, right? That's how because that's what I'm okay with being unemotional, watching my portfolio Cardano go from these heights to near zero, buying more of it and then selling when everyone got euphoric. That's what I find easy. But some people find, high intensity leverage trading. And I have a friend who I've met recently here in Dubai, shows me his account. He's got $5,000, $4,000, $3,000, maybe $5,000 in loss and all of this profit. And it's like, he's just, this is what I do every day. I watch the charts. And there's just so many ways to make money, right? So on Bitget, like your question, you can load up $1,000. You can learn. You can use the practice demo trading. You can learn. You can create yourself a trading method. I couldn't tell you in 55 minutes what my trading method is because I watch the charts. I look for something, for example, a bull flag, but that's just one part of it. I see that and I think, okay. Then I go and read the news. What's happened today with that crypto? Is it Bitcoin? Is it Ethereum? Do they have something coming? Is the support and resistance lining up to what's happening? Are we sitting right at support? There's about to be a bit of news, but both technical and a fundamental are lining up to make me think that there's a not zero chance that we pump, right? All of this stuff happens. And it's just about dedicating your time. And I keep going around in circles, but $1,000 is fine to start with. But expect to lose that $1,000 just as I did.
Usually like people have this idea that younger you are, more risks you are able to take. And I rarely see people kind of prepare for a future in crypto, even though, yes, everyone believes that crypto's future and there's, I don't know, $1 million Bitcoin is happening and everything will be great and great and great. Yeah. But still, I think conservatively preparing, because previously for our parents, it was buy an apartment, I don't know, put some, money into very safe stocks like S&P 500 and mutual funds and all this, like a kind of preparing for a bad day or a rainy day. And even like, as I mentioned, I'm from Turkey and we always have these jokes that Turkish people will collect the money for a worst day and then they use that money to, to do a celebration like a wedding. Yeah. Like, what is your strategy? Like, how are you preparing for future?
Yeah, perfect. So again, to go back to the 2017, because I lost everything then, like in dollar value, my plan going into the bull run, which was always the plan when I did the YouTube channel, the daily thing, was to buy property here in Dubai. So when I first started, that was always my plan. I was going to buy this crypto and sell it and buy an apartment in Dubai. And that was because we have such an easy way to move money around because there's no capital gains tax. So we can make this money, we can realize the profit, we can use that profit, we can transfer it into cash through our bank or however you want to do it, and then you can buy property. So my rainy day fund, my financial freedom, however you want to call it, my safety net is property. So I make the money with really high risk trading. And then I put that into what I consider low risk, which is property that generates me passive income. So my goal of the 2021 bull market was to buy enough property that I could then generate an income, just a very normal standard income from my property. So if crypto, which I wholeheartedly believe is still possible, goes to zero. If everything goes to zero, one day someone turns off the internet and that's it. Someone figures out a flaw in Bitcoin. Someone figures out something, right? It's all possible in my eyes. So I need to have my safety net, and my safety net is property, and it happens to be property in Dubai because I understand this market. And yeah, so I've put my money into that, and I'm paying off a bunch of places and renting them out. And I have a whole other ecosystem of my property stuff that I do that I've built on the side, completely separate to crypto, which has business aspects to it. And if the YouTube channel goes, YouTube deletes my channel. If crypto goes to zero, if any of these things happen, then I have something else to fall back on.
I love this idea of yours, like a proper diversification, because you have like a traditional assets and you don't depend in one channel. And I think it's a great strategy, because always when even like we discuss the Bitcoin prices, and I tell like people, you have to look at as a global economy. If economy is in recession, there can't be a bull run. And when it comes to taking out profits, I always recommend people that yes, you can have a beautiful day in a trade. If you don't take that profit out, and if you don't do something else with that money, probably it is just being rich on a paper.
Exactly.
And it's always great to put things one way and another, and have this good and healthy investment portfolio where you have diversified assets, that if one goes down, the other stands, and at least you don't lose everything.
And take your money from an extreme risk asset and put it into a low risk asset. You're still going to make money from the low risk asset. And that money is good. Like, if you buy the S&P 500, say you made this 100x on some random dog coin, right? And you take that money and all you do is you put it directly into the S&P 500. You now have, over time, such a good asset that's going to continue to grow over a long period of time that you can generate money from. And it's the perfect safety net. You got out of this crazy risky. And let's say you made 100x. Let's say you put $1,000 in, you had 100 grand, right? You took out 90 grand. You put it into the S&P 500. Awesome. Great. That's now sitting there. Or you bought a studio apartment in Dubai, which is affordable with $90,000. So you can do that. You can then generate money from that. Cool. I have that on the side. That's generating me money anyway. Now I have $10,000 and I have 10 more opportunities, or I have 100 more opportunities with a smaller bag that I can continue to play in this environment. Then I find one seed that grows into a mountain of money. Then I take that money, scoop it up, put it into gold, put it into property, put it into the S&P 500. And I think for some reason people don't want to do that because it's too safe, it's too boring, right? But it gives you such a peace of mind. Like I have such peace of mind. I can go into this extreme risk. When I tell normal, no coiners, as we said at the start, when I tell a no coiner about this extreme risk that I've done, they're like, how could you possibly do that? Well, it's because I know now that I've set myself up this safety net. So if this all goes to zero, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's good. I think like with the no coiners, or even like people who are not like a pro investment or trading, I see like a two general kind of groups. One is like a very risk adverse, and others like, oh no, it's an all scam. When things go up, they regret that they didn't invest on time. When it goes down, they're happy that it went down. But like I want to talk about this like a risk adverse people, and what breaks my heart, sometimes you see that people will take some sort of money, they collect it over the time, they'll quit their jobs, they're like, okay, now I'm becoming a trader. Which is, I always say, which is wrong, because you, as you mentioned, like you need to have a different streams of income coming, that once you lose all your money, which is more likely could happen, like no one becomes a pro trader in a month or two or three.
And without losing money. You're going to lose money. Like it happens.
And I always say like the difference is very important, that first and foremost, you have to kind of learn how to hedge. And that's how I came to the crypto, because I had a startup, it exited, I had some money. And even before earning more money with the money I had, my biggest concern was, okay, now I have this money, what can I do not to lose it? Because every day, every month, every week, it stays in my account as a dollar, euro, pound, whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm losing it. I'm losing it. And how I can invest. And then I try to become creative and explore all the other possibilities, investment, VCs, and so on. Therefore, I always recommend people that first you learn how to not to lose, and then how to win, and then what to do with that winnings that you are doing in the process.
Yeah, definitely.
And like when we are talking this like a not to lose aspect, because we already talked about win aspect, like what do you think like easy 2-3 actions that people could do that in order not to lose money in crypto?
Well, not to keep banging the emotional drum, but you don't lose money if you're not super high risk every time all into one asset, right? So spreading the investments out. There's one thing you can do now if you have been in crypto for, let's say, the last 6 months, or you were, you did the same as me in 2017, but you got in 2021, and you've now ridden your whole bag down, right? You've ridden the whole bag down. But you continue to buy in the bear market, and now you've ridden it up. We're almost at old all-time highs already. You can, if you want to, stop yourself from losing all of it by, for example, putting your money. I have my money, some of it, on Bitget. I don't advise people to put all of their money on any centralized exchange. You should be holding it in cold storage. But I have some positions where I'm so far up, like Solana. I was buying Solana directly on the channel at $17. So I'm so far up on that in gains-wise. I could, for example, put a stop loss on my spot position for 50, 60, 70% of it at, let's say, $90, $95, $100, somewhere. Maybe $100 is too risky because we're like 103 now, but you know my point. And you can put that there so you know, okay, if the market does turn, and we have this, we have a big cascade, which I still believe is possible. Like, we deserve a correction after 17K to 52K. We deserve a big correction. It's never not happened that we haven't had 30, 40% corrections, right? So if you don't want to look at your portfolio one day and go, oh God, I've just lost 50%, you can put these stop loss mechanisms in place, and that will physically stop you from losing the money. Now, the caveat to that is you have to be okay if the price continues to rise, because this happens, right? So there's two sides of every coin. If you want to protect yourself, you can protect yourself like that, but understand we may come down, touch exactly where you put your stop loss, which is the most likely case because that always happens, right? Exactly where we have our stop loss, and then it hits that and then it goes back up. But I always Solana is the perfect example, because if you did save that money from the 95, let's say you put at $95, right? And you actually cashed out X amount, you then don't have to chase the Solana pump. You now have this bag of money that you can use to find new opportunities. You have all these new opportunities. So that's how you can protect your downsides physically, right? And then not being emotional, and not when you get someone who messages you, or you find out on Twitter, or you do this, you don't go, okay, I have $1,000 in my account. This could do, 1,000x. I'll put the whole $1,000 in because that way I'll make the most amount of money. No, put in $50. Or $10 or $100, right? And then that's your opportunity. And then you have 9 more opportunities if it is $100 you put in, that you can minimize your risk, right? You can have this diverse portfolio. So
that's great. That's a very great aspect you mentioned, because usually it's always like, oh, not your keys, not your assets, kind of a narrative. But when you have your assets like a hidden too far with these cold wallets, ledgers, safety is important, but it becomes also very less agile.
Yeah,
you can't just react to the fast-moving market, and therefore it's always good to have it in a centralized exchange.
And you can have a portion of it.
Portion that you are kind of working with. It's kind of, I always say it's kind of when you put your stuff you want to cook with on a kitchen counter, because you are processing with them. You can't keep them in the fridge and cook at the same time. And therefore, I think centralized exchanges also play a great role. Mm-hmm. And I think another good and important factor about centralized exchanges, it's because all these institutions in there and all the mechanisms compared to a decentralized exchanges, there's a better market opportunity, buy sell opportunities, all these stop losses and other aspects that one can do, especially if you have that assets that you're playing around too much and you want to win or make sure that you don't lose all your assets. And I think putting that mechanisms in place is important. But also my strategy is kind of building my portfolio around balancing the risk and less risky assets within the crypto.
Of course.
What is your strategy to building your, think of a pizza, pie chart, bucket, whatsoever? How do you layer things up?
So definitely I have more than 50% in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Right now, it's shifting, because now's the point where we either have this correction or we do actually break old all-time highs. But as we speak, everyone wants to be like, the whole market's going to 1 million X from where we are now. But they're actually forgetting that we have actually gone up a lot already, right? The altcoin market, even though we haven't had an alt season, really, it is up loads.
Yeah, market is really green. And if you look like 1 year, even though everyone was complaining, it was bear market, so what?
Yeah.
Bitcoin increased almost 3 times.
Yeah, it's been up only since $1,600.
Yeah, in last 14 months, there was time it was around 17K, and now it's like a 152K, which makes it 3x.
Exactly.
And it's a conservative, stable asset. It's crazy because if you go to traditional stock market and say some stock like an Apple stock will never do a 3x, you know?
Yeah. And it's an interesting point because I have one friend who is conservative. He's in crypto, so he's not conservative, but he just buys Bitcoin. Whenever he has the opportunity, he just buys Bitcoin. And he's been doing that since the bear market, since the bull market into the bear market and back now. And his assets are comparatively the same as mine. And he has just much heavier bought Bitcoin. Whereas I've been diverse, right? I've been diverse and I'm a little bit ahead, but because he's just gone way more heavy into one asset that he believes in, he's had an absolutely phenomenal return because a 3x on a lot of money is just as good as 100x on a little bit of money. So there's 2 ways to play it. You can just be all Bitcoin or all Ethereum. I believe Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin in the next 2 years, or the next 6 months until the Ethereum ETF. That's what I'm playing it for, that trade. But you can be much less risky, but with more money and generate the same returns as someone who gets 100x with low amounts of money. But for me personally, Ethereum, Bitcoin are the biggest guys in the
50%.
field. Yeah, at least 50%.
What happens to the other 50?
Yeah, so it's changing now. It was actually more like 75%, 25% with the higher risk, right? With Bitcoin and Ethereum being the high one. But because I have some coins like Solana, for example, that's done a 6x, it's like, okay, well, the dynamic's shifting now. So now comes the point where do I put, for example, the stop loss in on Bitget and I can trade, let's say, Solana directly into Bitcoin and like have it in that a little bit safer asset maybe? Or do I want to take the risk on that Solana for a little bit longer? I've actually already taken some profit from Solana just to bank the profits. I now have none of my own money in Solana. It's only profit. But I like to find, we have like different scales. So we have the absolutely mega coins, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Then we have like the larger caps, like, you have your Cardanos, I do have some XRP, I have quite a large position in that, even though it's a stable coin. Sorry to all the XRP lovers out there, it's a stable coin right now. I believe that one day, just like we saw when the
court case,
when they won, it went up 100% almost, right?
That's crazy.
And I think that will happen again. I think there'll be something, because again, it all comes back to that community. How I find that tiny coin, XRP is a prime example of massive community, right? It's not doing anything now, but that community, if you have a community of millions of people, right? When they hear some good news, they're not going to buy Bitcoin when they hear the good news about XRP. They're going to buy XRP. It's going to go up. And in that point, guess what I'm going to be doing? Selling, right? So I'm holding large positions in those sorts of coins. Another example would be Casper with the community-based coins, right? Because again, Casper's community, incredible. One of the most loyal, devoted communities. And I noticed that early on. And that was when I created I have a few different portfolios that I've built on the channel through the bear market. One of them was like the eyeballs portfolio, the community-based coins. Casper's the #1 returning asset in that portfolio. And the only reason I personally bought Casper, not because of the technology. Yes, the technology is groundbreaking. There's utility, all of that stuff. I believe in that. But the reason I bought it was because of the community. So Casper, and then we have Jasmy, which has just right now gone parabolic, just because I was like, why do all these people care about this coin? If they care about it, I'll buy a bit, put it in the community-based coin, right? The community-based portfolio. So we have those larger caps, like the XRPs and stuff, XRP, Solana, Cardano, those sorts of guys. Then we have what I consider the new cycle cryptos. So the ones, I always like to say, the ones that have the opportunity to be the Cardanos of this run. Right? So we have the ones that maybe they do that absolutely insane run from like $1 billion to $80 billion, right? Because that's what Cardano, obviously Cardano did much more than that, but we have these coins sitting at a 1 billion to 3 billion, and they can do the Cardano run. So I can get 10, 20, 30, 40x on these. So we have like Injective, Casper, Sui, Sui. I still don't know why they both came out. They both came out exactly the same time, and they just have the middle letter different. I don't know why you have to be so difficult. Why are you being so difficult? I'm dyslexic. Give me a break. But Yes, Sui and Sei, those would be sitting in that, along with others. There's Kujera. There's a couple of others that sit there. And those have higher dollar value allocations, right? They're big positions. Then we have really small positions, gaming cryptos. I think gaming crypto is going to do really well. I think AI is going to do really well. I think the best thing for those is rather than look for specific cryptos in those, go in, see what's worked before. In gaming, for example, we know that Gala Games worked before. So go and find which project is basically just doing what Gala Games is doing. Maybe they have a little bit different. Maybe they have some different partnerships. Maybe they were launched by a different VC or a different launchpad. Whatever it is, mostly the same things work again, right? People like the same things. It works for a reason. So there's a project called Myria, for example. I hold a bit of Myria, have a node with Myria, and they're doing a very similar thing to Gala Games, but they're much smaller. Now, I'm not saying anyone to buy that, but that's the thought process. I'm like, this is very similar. And then you have loads of cryptos that are very similar, that are these ecosystem projects for gaming. And those are the ones that
What about like all these meme coins and shit coins in your portfolio? Do they have
so
any
they say
room
that-
for them?
Well, it's tiny, and I don't hold them for long. So I do have the AVAX coin. I won't say it out loud in case we get community striked or whatever, but it's a phallic type name. People like it. There's a big community around it. I saw that it was a higher cap. It was like 100 million. But so far it hasn't, nothing on AVAX has done a bonk. Bonk was the Solana coin. It did 1.5 billion. We haven't seen the AVAX meme coin, which is this one, do that move. Hasn't been listed on Coinbase or listed on Binance. So the opportunity for 10x on this coin is high. So I hold quite a large position in that simply because I think it's possible. Then we have the bigger cap meme coins, Dogecoin. I hold tons of Doge just simply because I think Elon Musk will turn around and say, oh, X is integrating Dogecoin. And then I think it will go absolutely parabolic out of nowhere. So I would need to have exposure to that. And then the really small meme coins that I do talk about on the channel, I get into them and I get out of them. I find the narrative. What's the narrative? You know, we had the narrative of coins that were named after the founders, the dogs, right? The dogs or the cats named after. That was the narrative at the time. So we followed that narrative. You get in and you get out. Same with the Pepe. When Pepe went crazy, the Pepe derivatives went crazy. So it doesn't serve any purpose for me to tell you what those coins are because they're gone, right? But during the month of Pepe, which was like a year ago now, we had thousands of these coins being generated. So you go in, you find the coins that have the big communities. You try and find them early. You try and get in on the communities that find them early. And then you get little tiny bits and bobs.
With all these meme coins, I always have this strategy. Like whenever you see that like a similar name and similar looking coins happening in the market, it means there's something going on.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. They have their seasons, right? Pepe season. These dog with hat season. Like Solana meme coins. Solana meme coins have been hard. Like I didn't really have much success with them because I find Solana is really easy to get in on because it's much cheaper on the fees, but it also means that they're so much quicker. So they're more quicker to rug. You have to be paying attention more. Like the rug pull, when they pull the liquidity out, happens way more quicker on Solana because you can just boom.
Second.
Yeah. So they're more likely to launch a coin that's only a couple of $1,000s in liquidity because they can pull, if they get $1,000 of people to buy it, they just pull the $1,000 and then they rug the whole project. Whereas on Ethereum, it happens less. It still 100% happens, but less than what I've noticed on Solana.
Perfect. Thank you for the talk today, Conor.
No worries.
And I think we had an amazing chat about how to build a portfolio, make money, make sure not to lose that money and take things out. And I believe that you served a great example how we should think further and not only kind of have this laser focus around the crypto, but have this differentiated portfolio where we make sure that risk are like a less out there, even though it's risky, but also not to, get ourselves out of the chance of hitting next 100x or 1000x with fun coins or even a lottery tickets on a blockchain.
Yeah.
Thanks for the show. And I was your host, Bugarusi.